Okay, our next speaker, I believe, is going to talk about the game Doom. No? I misread this. 10 ways to doom your DevOps. Give it up for GeneGotimer.
All right. I've been doing DevOps transformations for a long time, and these are some of the things that I see time and time again at different locations, different organizations, where a company is just so sure they want to change to DevOps, but they're so sure they're going to do it their way, which of course is the same way they've always been doing things, which is to not change at all. So here are 10 ways to doom your DevOps transformation. The first is your onboarding. Sometimes it takes weeks, days, months, whatever, to get a new team member producing something meaningfully, right? When that happens, it makes them feel like a burden, or it bores them to death. It sets the expectation of the pace they're going to set on the team, and most importantly, it shows them how important we consider them. And when it takes weeks to get them producing, it shows them we don't care at all, right? So be prepared. When someone new's coming onto your team, see what they're going to produce, or be ready to give them something to produce, right? Number 2, the cloud. Not using the cloud, but the cloud, right? We run our data center in the cloud instead of leveraging the cloud. It ignores the advantages of the cloud, so there's no advantage of actually using the cloud. You don't get the benefits. On-demand self-service is very, very important. If you have meetings and forums and panels you need to go to get that box set up, you're just using somebody else's data center. Likewise, doing Agile, right? Our organization is standardized the way the teams will be Agile, and there's no flexibility to change, because that makes it good for the organization, right? We have a stand-up for an hour every day. Of course we're Agile. Agile is supposed to encourage agility. So remember the things that are in the manifesto: individuals and interactions over processes and tools, responding to change over following a plan. But most importantly, the easiest one to see is get rid of the status meetings, the status reports, the status roll-ups, and the monthly summaries of the status reports, because you don't have time to read all the status reports. Number 4, the change control board, or the CAB, or change advisory board. Every production change we make has to be approved by someone who has no idea what we do, right? We can't release multiple times a day if we have to get approval from a group that meets multiple times a month, right? DORA has shown that this hurts teams, right? The state of DevOps report, it's proven. They have data to show this hurts teams to have CABs. Just get rid of them. They're not adding value, right? There's all sorts of pieces that we put into DevOps that make CABs and CCBs unimportant. The big thing is they want control. Show them that infrastructure as code and immutable infrastructure and all sorts of other things really provide them the safety net that they want. A lot of that goes along with being afraid to fail. A failed experiment means we'll have a lot of explaining to do to management, right? Will Rogers says, good judgment comes from experience, and a lot of that comes from bad judgment. No failure means no learning. We're not going to get different results if we don't change what we're doing and how we're doing it. So you need to aggressively and ruthlessly protect psychological safety. You need to work towards a generative culture in the Western model, right? Which is, it's okay to fail, we're going to learn something from it, we're just going to reduce the blast radius and move on. Doom number 6, unchanging culture. We'll do anything it takes to get to DevOps, but we're not allowed to change our culture. Well, DevOps is a culture, not a set of processes and tools, right? We're not going to get the benefits of DevOps if we restrict to just changing our team and not changing the organization around us. If you don't manage your culture will manage you. So find a champion, someone that can protect you, someone that can give you air cover, someone that will say, hey, it's okay for you to do something differently than the rest of the organization does it, and when you do that, I'll protect you, I'll fight the battles. Doom number 7, unchanging policies. Very similar. we'll do anything it takes to get to DevOps, but we're not allowed to change any of our policies. Well, those policies were generally set up for really, really slow, infrequent changes, not for DevOps. We're not going to get the benefits of DevOps again if we restrict changes to only within the team. So go ahead and find out why the policy is there. It's probably because of being afraid to fail or something like that. So make sure that you show them that we have controls and automation that enforce things that before they just hoped people did because they were afraid to get in trouble. Doom number 8, too many decision makers. Every decision means meeting with multiple stakeholders to get consensus, right? If multiple people are responsible for a decision to be made, then no one's responsible. And it often goes back to being afraid to fail. Find a champion. Really, though, work towards a generative culture where you're allowed to fail and you can make changes without having all sorts of people looking over your shoulder. Doom number 9, too many metrics. We can't do that, or it'll hurt our monthly, quarterly, or yearly numbers. Well, when a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. Metrics should measure desired outcomes. If you have too many measures to try to hit, you're never going to get any changes done. It's too hard to measure. All right, lastly, unrealistic expectations. Doom number 10. All of our problems will disappear as soon as we get to DevOps. The reality is DevOps is not going to make your problems vanish. It's just going to shine a light on them, right? You're going to need more discipline, not less. You're going to fail more often, not less. We're going to pick something to improve, work on it until it's better, and then we're going to pick the next best thing. That's it. Thank you.